What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Joey Womack, founder, CEO of Goodie Nation, here again with another awesome episode of Prequel Origin Stories and Inflection Points. And you're in for another absolute treat as we have some dope founders going to tell you their journey to start their awesome companies. Here's why it's important. At Goodie Nation, we're focused on closing what we call the relationship gap. Now, this is the lack of connection between entrepreneurs and those that are influential in business, particularly in tech. And so when these entrepreneurs don't have access to awesome people, it means they have a harder time raising money. It means they have a harder time finding talented people to hire. It means they have a harder time finding customers and press contacts. And also it means they have a harder time getting advice to navigate the nuances of being a founder and stuff. And so what we found over the last decade plus of working with entrepreneurs is that diverse founders and also social entrepreneurs from all backgrounds actually have a higher rate of the gap than their counterparts, right? And we don't really want that. So at Goodie Nation, we've designed a bunch of things to help kind of close that gap. And this podcast, Prequel, is part of that. And so you're going to sit back, you can relax, you can hear about these awesome founders telling their story. And I truly believe that you can see a little bit of yourself within their story, right? And so when you do, and you may be a little bit inspired, or maybe you know someone who maybe cross paths with them along the way, have a call to action for you at the end, right? Have a call to action. So enough about me. Let's really get to the rest of our team here at Goodie Nation, and then also the founders to hear a little bit more about just their intro. So Casey, I'm gonna kick it over to you for a quick intro, then we'll go with Kevin.
Okay, great. Thanks, Joey. My name is Casey Willis, and I am a 2023 Goodie Nation Storytelling Fellow. I'm also the founder of Could Be Pretty Cool, an audio production company that makes podcasts about arts and culture, and I'm based in Atlanta.
Awesome. Kevin?
Hey everyone, I'm Kevin Hu. I'm the founder and CEO here at Firstly, and we help colleges and nonprofits launch online mentorship programs. I'm actually based out of LA right now.
Nice. Carmen?
Hi everyone, my name is Carmen Perez. I'm the founder and CEO of Much, and Much is a social money management platform that helps individuals that struggle with accountability and managing their money. We provide them with an awesome platform to be able to do all the things with their money and allow them to connect with community members as well. I am based out of Connecticut.
Awesome. Nina
Rodriguez. I'm the founder of Buzzzy. We match companies with expo level creatives in 24 hours or less. I'm based out of San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Awesome. And Eleanor? Oh, you're on mute.
I apologize. Sorry, I was on mute. Hi, my name is Professor Eleanor. I am the founder and CEO of DiversiBoard. We are based between New York, Pennsylvania, and my native Caribbean. We are a platform for technical and technical adjacent talent from my native Caribbean and West Africa, a Black diaspora tech and tech adjacent platform that allows persons to upskill, find short-term contracts and employment. I am delighted to be here. Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Well, let's get right to these stories. Kevin, I want to kick it over to you. What's your story? How'd you get here? What's that journey been like?
Absolutely. So, once again, I'm Kevin Hu, founder and CEO of Firstly. Firstly's mission is to accelerate social mobility. And this starts with my origin story of, my family and I moved from rural China to the States because we were tired of being poor. I graduated from college, started a career, and finally achieved economic mobility. But everyone around me wasn't as lucky. It turns out that 90% of first generation and low-income college students drop out, students like me. I feel really lucky to be part of the few who make it through college and secure successful career outcomes, but I also feel this massive sense of guilt and responsibility because I know that most people like me who go through college, they take on massive debt and maybe graduate with a near minimum wage job. They graduate without the social and economic mobility that college promises. And I think this is really messed up. So I had to ask myself, why was I any different? I realized that it's because mentorship helped me beat the odds. My mentor, Andrew, made sure that I was okay all throughout college. Even when I was thinking about dropping out due to financial struggles, he helped me think differently. I had this mindset of, why does tomorrow matter when today I'm hungry? But he helped me realize that the best way to help myself and my family wasn't to drop out of school to work a minimum wage job to feed myself, but to graduate with a salaried career. And once I entered the workplace, I had a mentor. His name was Ned. He really helped me see my potential, gave me a lot of challenging projects, and even helped me get recognized for all of my hard work when I was passed up for promotion. Thanks to him, I was able to get 2 promotions within just 1 year. Mentorship helped me beat the odds, and that's why I'm building Firstly, to enable more life-changing mentorship experiences.
Awesome. I think that's a perfect example of the relationship gap, right? Maybe not in the context of entrepreneurship, but I mean, it makes all the difference in the world. I think we can all look back at one person, or really actually multiple people in our lives who help us to get, where we are today. So how can people get in contact with you?
Yeah, so first of all, Firstly is all about partnerships. We love getting in touch with workforce development boards, colleges, employers, and nonprofits. And if you're curious to learn more, you can reach us at www.firstly.pro, as in program. Or if you want to email me, my email is kevin@firstly.pro. So once again, we're all about partnerships here and working together towards our common goal of accelerating social mobility.
I love it. Let's go to another form of, I think, of social and financial mobility. Carmen, I want to kick it over to you. What's your story?
Thanks, Joey, and thanks, Kevin, for that. That was a great way for me to segue into this. So my financial story and my origin story is really just rooted in a hot mess. But we'll start, in 2016 to give you all some anchor. I had been working at Wall Street for quite some time up until this point, and was really struggling behind closed doors with my finances. I had formally studied finance, was working at various Wall Street firms. So I had worked at Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, did some internships at Goldman Sachs, like just any company you can think of, you name it, I worked there. And during this time in 2016, behind closed doors, drowning in debt, making it seem like I was doing, very well, again, working on Wall Street. I eventually got sued for a student loan. And this is where my catalyst, my origin story, this is the inflection point of where everything started to change in my life. So up until this point in 2016, I had terrible credit. I had a job offer rescinded from the top investment bank in the world because of bad credit. I was paying 18% interest on a car loan, just everything you could do wrong with your personal finances, I was doing. And also, to some extent, knew a little bit better because, again, I had formally studied this. I was surrounded in this world. I was working in the industry. But the catalyst was getting sued. And while this is a very unique story, unique situation, that's what helped me get mobilized around my finances. So 2016, got sued for a student loan. It was $30,000. I had less than $3,000 in my bank account, had to get a lawyer, do all of the things, and start navigating my personal finances in a very meaningful way. It was like overnight, I had to unlearn all the habits that I had learned up until this point in my life. I was in my now late 20s or mid to late 20s during this time. So 2016, got sued, had to start figuring out, how do I actually get out of debt? How do I pay this off very quickly? What are my money goals? How do I actually budget? A lot of people in their mind think budgeting is very restrictive and boring because they think it's just you sitting down and putting, listing out all of your bills, right? So I had to start learning all of this. It was kind of like personal finance 101. I went all over the different corners of the web trying to find a solution. I tried all these different budgeting applications and platforms. I was going to my bank, just trying to figure out what I could do to help turn this situation around as quickly as possible. Long story short, I ended up creating a solution through all these different spreadsheets. During this time, I fast forward to 2018 when I eventually paid off all of my debt. So I paid off $57,000 of debt in 2 years and 9 months. And it was all because of these spreadsheets. I pieced together a bunch of different solutions that worked for me and started while I was paying down my debt, I started sharing my journey with other folks because I figured maybe, I'm not the only one that is going through this. Well, come to find out, I am not. I've now built a community of over, 66,000 followers on Instagram alone right now. And it's all centered around personal finance and money. And that's when it clicked for me. I said, I think what's happening and missing in the personal finance world right now is the ability to connect with other individuals, to see these examples, to feel inspired, to, see not only the people that have done not so great things with their finances, but also have had the chance and have actually turned them around. So 2018, paid off all of my debts, shared my story. And this is where the idea came. Not only, becoming debt free helped me to change industries. So I actually quit the traditional finance industry, but changed gears there and then taught myself how to code, got into fintech, started working at a fintech unicorn now called Alloy. Shout out to Alloy. I was a solutions architect there. And then went on to start my own company and was launched through the catalyst of Techstars. So that is the origin story. And there's a lot of financial blunders in that. But really, it came out of these spreadsheets, the solution that worked for me. I ended up selling 500 spreadsheets when there was free and paid solutions out there, just because, folks trusted me and it was a proven solution at that point.
Something that I really appreciate about both you and Kevin's story is the fact that you're willing to talk about, the tough times, thinking that you had to drop out because of money or, mistakes that you made with money, because I think so many of us are afraid to say out loud to people, at some point, I didn't know what to do with money. And I think that that's both an inspiration and just a very humanizing component of both of your stories. So that's really cool.
Exactly. And how can people get in contact with you?
Yeah, so you can, my personal finance brand is out there. It's at Make Real Sense, but equally you can just email me at cperez@usemuch.com and visit our website. Come check out our tool. It's www.usemuch.com.
Awesome. Good stuff. Nina, I want to kick it up to you. How'd you get here? What's your origin story?
Hi, everyone. So I'm Nina. My background is basically I'm a copywriter. I'm a creative. I'm better at selling other things than myself. And it's something that is pretty common. The way it started, I started in advertising in 2020, like 15 years ago. And at the moment I was an intern, I noticed that everybody was super hectic in terms of trying to find a freelancer. They were always asking like, hey, do you know someone that can help me with this or not? And I noticed that pretty much everything was super reactive instead of proactive. At the moment, I was like, why don't I have like a list? It wasn't necessarily that digital at the moment. So I'm like, why don't I have a list of freelancers and people that could do this and that? And I keep always, whenever I change from agencies, I would ask the same question, like, why don't you have a list of people that are really good at different things? In 2018, going back to that, I started like many advertising agencies started calling me and like, hey, I want to work with you. So I have heard some pretty good things about you. And there was a week that even 5 agencies called me. At the moment, I said like, this is it. I'm becoming a freelancer. I was freelancing like here and there, but it wasn't like my full profession. And I felt like, okay, so many people are knowing about my story. They know what I'm great at. So I'm gonna start becoming a freelancer. I started working with a startup and I was super excited. A mentor of mine told me, make sure that you charge half the deposit of whatever you're doing. And I did at the moment. When I started working with this person, I started telling people like, hey, I'm working with this person. And everybody was like, how is it going? Is it going far or not? And I was like, yeah, everything's going fine. Like he will approve me everything. And we did sign a contract. At the moment, what it said, it was basically that if he approved everything, needed to be on writing. It wasn't necessarily the process. Whenever he called me, I was like, yes, everything is approved. As a creative, you're like, this is my baby. This is amazing. They approve it. But in my mind, I was being super like excited about it, everything. But he knew that it said that it should be approved by writing. So when I finished the work, he said that it wasn't approved and started saying like weird things that he didn't like the job or if he can like work on other things. And I said that yes, but then after everything, he just ghosted me. So I noticed why people like keep doing this weird faces when I talk about him. At the moment, I felt like, okay, this is it. I know that this has happened to a few people. I talked with a lawyer, a friend of mine, and he told me that it always happened with the creatives. We never know how to charge. We're better at helping others than selling ourselves. And I said, like, this is not happening to anyone else. So I started working in a company that was kind of different, but it kept in my mind, like, I need to help freelancers. I need to even help myself. And I noticed that also whenever you talk with someone, they didn't necessarily knew how to approach their talent, which is their business. So at the moment, I started working with something. I met my co-founder at the moment in 2019 at a company, and we noticed that there was a need to improve the communication between both sides, like businesses and creatives. And we started meeting. We started building Buzzzy. Then we met our designer, which is pretty amazing. I noticed that there was a place that we can help freelancers not only with their expertise but also help businesses to know what that you're looking for. So based on their needs and based on freelancers expertise, we decided to build an algorithm that would make it easier, would make it faster, and it would take off all the things that the client doesn't necessarily like, or businesses, and the freelancer doesn't necessarily know, like charging, how to charge, how to rate themselves, how to like talk about money, because for them it's easy, it's harder, it's easier to talk about what they're capable of than to know how to charge. And then Buzzzy started in November 2021. It has been so far so good. We promise our freelancers a community. We promise our clients as a good service, experience, expertise, and people that are willing to help you out and that they feel like they're a part of your team, not necessarily just a freelancer. And that's basically my story.
I love it. I'm so jealous of like creatives. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's the talent. Like I'm like, no way I can do that type of stuff. I remember the but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna say that story for another day. But I do love creatives and stuff, and I'm pseudo jealous. But the interesting part is Kevin, Carmen, and Nina. I'm sure we'll also get to the final founder. The common thread is wanting to help people, right? Wanting to help people and stuff like that, and I love it. I love it about you all. So Nina, how can people get in contact with you?
So they can reach me at nina@buzzy.com, or they can look our social media. They'll see me doing reels and everything. So that way they can know everything that you need to do as a founder. So you make sure that people get more in touch with you.
I love it. Cool. So last and certainly not least, Eleanor, what's your story? How'd you get to start the company?
So delighted to be here. My name is Professor Eleanor. My company is DiversiBoard. So let me tell you how we came to be. So my country is Jamaica. I was at the time, I'm currently a professor at Fordham, but at the time I'm still an affiliated faculty member at Penn State, but at the time I was a full professor at Penn State, one of too few Black women who were full professors at Penn State, which is the 9th largest university. It's one of the Big 10. My native Caribbean produces amazing technical talent, and I had known this for some time, and I'm going to tell you how I knew this. So when I was back living in my native Caribbean, so I finished university here. I finished law school here, grad school in England, and worked for some time here, went back to the Caribbean. When I was on the Caribbean, I had the opportunity, which I'm passionate about, women serving on boards and Black women serving on boards in particular, to serve on several boards. And two of the boards that I served on were boards of overseas companies with Caribbean affiliates, large multinational conglomerates with Caribbean affiliates. They did IT upgrades and they did not utilize talent from overseas. They didn't bring in talent from Canada or the United States or the European Union or Britain. They utilized technical talent from right there in the Caribbean, Jamaica, Barbados, Trinidad, Guyana. My dad, who is an engineer, said to me that means that they think that the technical talent, the software engineers, etc., are good because they're doing big IT upgrades. They're big companies. They could bring in talent from elsewhere. They're using the talent from the Caribbean. That struck me, and whenever I met someone who was talented and technical, I would take their information, and I started to keep a list. So I had this list of Caribbean engineers, Black diaspora engineers. So during the pandemic, early on in the pandemic, Central Pennsylvania has a lot of technical jobs. Why? Penn State actually, I think, trains more engineers than any other university in the country. I might have to fact check that, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. And we're close to universities like Carnegie Mellon, which is a top 3 or top 5 software and engineering school. And so there are a lot of technical jobs. There's a little bit of a mini Silicon Valley in Central Pennsylvania, companies like Duolingo. During the pandemic, of course, the world was becoming increasingly flat because everybody was on Zoom. And I said to myself, if there are all of these technical jobs and everybody's on Zoom, I don't see any reason why persons from my native Caribbean couldn't do these jobs. At about the same time, this was sadly during the very tragic incident with George Floyd. Forgive me for being blunt, he was murdered. He was murdered by the state. I'm a law professor, so I have to state what happened. And there was a tremendous focus in the aftermath of that on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And a woman who I'd met through one of my university alumni groups called me and said to me, I hear that you have a list of Black engineers. Could I look at the list? And I said to her, let me call you back. And I got in touch with someone at Penn State, and they gave me help. And we built a platform, and we got a lot of the persons on the platform. And then word spread, word of mouth. Originally, it was only engineers, software engineers, computer science folks, and lots of other people started to contact me, product managers, UX, UI, sales, marketing. And I, of course, said, yes, upload. And then word spread, and we also had people doing outreach to us from West Africa. And suffice it to say that in the last 8 months, we're now past 50,000 people from about 20 countries in the Caribbean and West Africa. Engineers, software folks, UX, UI, product managers, marketing, accounting tech, biotech, all sorts of highly skilled people. All university educated. Our native Caribbean and West African countries were historically part of the British Commonwealth. We have a history of, having been colonized by the British, and, it means that the universities, colonization wasn't a good thing. I don't want anybody to think I think that, but the universities are British Commonwealth universities. For example, our biggest university in the Caribbean was originally part of the University of London. So it means that the caliber of the expertise and the caliber of the training is high. And a lot of people don't realize that about developing countries, and they particularly don't realize that about Black developing countries in the Caribbean and West Africa. So what we're working on now is becoming a one-stop place where anyone who is young and bright in these countries and aspires to opportunity can, upskill and simultaneously find internships, short-term contracts, long-term employment. And I feel like this is very near and dear to my heart. I'm a university professor. I'm passionate about creating opportunity. I'm passionate about creating opportunity beyond borders for people who are not, in first world countries, in the European Union or the UK or Canada or the United States. And this is my mechanism of doing it. Our motto is hire Black tech, mentor Black tech, create Black tech pipelines. And our company is DiversiBoard, and I am thrilled to be doing what I'm doing, and I'm very excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
I love it. Well, how can people get in contact with you?
So our website is, there's something else I want to see before I get in contact with you. Because I'm about flattening borders and having opportunity anywhere, we also have a platform that allows people who have recently been laid off. As you know, there have been a lot of tech layoffs recently from many of the big companies, a very change in the labor market, which means sadly a lot of people have recently been laid off. If you are potentially interested in a Caribbean opportunity, remote or hybrid, you can spend 3 weeks of the month in Seattle or San Francisco, and you can spend a few days of the month in the Caribbean. We are the most diverse place in the world, totally open, lots of migrants, and close to Miami. So you can get to us really quickly. So we have 2 platforms. A platform for persons who are from the Caribbean, West Africa, who are looking for opportunities in the US, UK, Canada, EU is DiversiBoard.com. The platform for persons from the US or Canada or the EU or the UK who are looking for opportunities in the Caribbean and willing to work remotely in the most beautiful place in the world is DiversiBoard.io. And my email is Professor Eleanor at DiversiBoard.com. You can also get us at info@DiversiBoard.com. Delighted to be here. Hope I answered your question.
Awesome. So a common thread, helping people, right? That's what it means to be good. Goodie Nation. I love it. Thank you all for sharing your origin stories. So again, good people, I said you'd be in for a treat and you got a treat. You heard from four amazing founders that are making the world a better place, right? In various ways, but they're making the world a better place. And I think it's obvious that it's a talent that they possess. So my ask is pretty simple, right? Support them. Support is a verb. Dr. Key Hallman here in Atlanta says that all the time. And so at Goodie Nation, we talk about being intentionally good, right? And so we say you can be intentionally good. It really presents itself in a few different ways, right? One, you can make a purchase from them, or you can sign up to be a user. Two, you can help to simply spread their story. Three, if you are a capital provider, you can think very strongly about providing capital to them in their preferred kind of manner of capital, whether it's grant opportunities, cash awards, investments, so on and so forth, right? But here's the thing. If you can't do any of those things, well, I do know you can simply just hit that share or repost button. You can easily do that. But if you can't do the other things, right, perhaps someone in your network can. So my ask is then for you to spend 30 minutes or an hour just this month or figuring out how you can support these founders and also the other ones in Goodie Nation, right? If you can do that for 6 straight months, it'll go into a habit. So you go from action to habit. And if you get your network to do that, that's how we go to creating kind of group behavior, which turns into a culture of supporting diverse founders and social entrepreneurs, small backgrounds. That's how we close the relationship gap, right? So they gave you their contact information, their websites. You can also go to goodienation.org and click on the Intentionally Good button and find out more about them there. But either way, simply just think a little bit more about how to support them and take action, right? It's been another great episode. Super excited for what's next for these awesome founders. So until the next episode, once again, I'm Joey Womack, founder, CEO of Goodie Nation, speaking on behalf of the rest of the Goodie Nation team. Stay magnetic, y'all, and outwork yesterday.